Following Spotify's desperation to pick up whatever podcast Meghan and Harry plan to do, Netflix is also in emergency mode. But there is a reason they haven't produced anything since they signed that contract, and it might have to do with narcissism. Welcome back, my body language buddies. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the body language guy, and it would be great if you join us by just liking this video, subscribing, and hitting that bell. Let's get down to it. This is going to sound really similar for anyone who had the disgrace of working with a narcissist. Of course, nothing compares to being in a relationship with a narcissist, but when you need the job and cannot quit because it doesn't bring you joy, this can become a nightmare pretty quickly. In the case of the Harkles and Netflix, one can only wonder why they couldn't produce a single minute of content in over a year. I understand that Lilibet was born in June, so maybe it was not feasible for our Duchess to travel. But they managed to visit New York and make a few appearances on shows, so it's not like they couldn't focus that time on what could be their main project. In fact, they didn't even have to move. They could have used their Montecito house as location for almost any kind of content they would have thought of. But the main problem lies in the way shows are produced. Many people think that since Netflix signed them up, then Netflix was going to be in charge of producing the show. And by produce it, I'm talking about actually creating the content, having a director, a crew, etc. It's not uncommon that the company that produces the content and the one that distributes or streams it are two separate entities. Netflix is interested in streaming the content. The entity that should be producing it is a branch of Harry and Meghan's foundation, Archwell Productions. Well, a branch in this case could be just a laptop put next to the main Archwell laptop. But the case that Archwell Productions was the one in charge of making whatever they have in mind. And, well, you can guess that Archwell Productions has a track record of zero content produced, only announced. That is not really an obstacle because Archwell Productions is, after all, well, just a laptop over a desk. The most important asset of any organization is people. But Harry and Meghan don't have any experience producing content, even if they are listed as executive producers in two different upcoming shows, Heart of Invictus and Pearl. And the problem is the role, executive producer. An executive producer is pretty much like the CEO of the project. They hire the directors, the stars, and supervise them with the help of other producers. But the fact is that they have the most responsibility. The problem is when it comes to materializing a creative vision, and this is why many productions on film and TV just fail. Because you have too many opinions clashing, and this becomes especially difficult if there is narcissism involved. One of the greatest examples of people who had to learn it the hard way was Steve Jobs. Jobs was a classic narcissist, very tough to work with. But he had to learn, in the hardest way possible, how to work with people smarter, more talented, more creative than him. In fact, there's a famous quote attributed to him that is, it doesn't make sense to hire smart people and tell them what to do. It takes a lot of nerve, and not only to hire the best talent, but to not start a personality grudge with them. And with the Harkles' track record of experiences with palace staff, well, it seems that managing people, or at least getting along well with people, is something that doesn't come naturally to them. But the executive producer is also in charge of finances. And this is a very delicate topic, one that the Montecito duo also has a bumpy past, including that $3 million Frogmore cottage refurbishing. Yes, they apparently repaid all of it. The real question is, was it really necessary? Well, like 16 bathrooms could be necessary after all. But the main problem here is name attachment. Harry and Meghan's names are glued to this project, so you can imagine that they are really concerned about the outcome. And the problem is that no matter what is the name you attach to a production, if the production itself is not, well, good, people are not going to watch it. Take for example the movie Before We Go with Chris Evans. Despite having Chris Evans as the lead and Chris Evans directing the movie, it was a flop. So the only option the Harkles have is to hire the top talent they can and let the crew do what they do best. And for any narcissist, this supposes two big problems. The first one is that you just can't pick up the phone, make a couple calls, and voila, you have the top talent at your disposal. Precisely because it's top talent. They are busy. Most probably they would have to juggle their agenda to fit your project, so you have to negotiate with them. As in making them fall in love with your vision, with the project. What could it mean for them? What's in it for them? Because again, top talent can decide which projects really interest them. Seriously, can you imagine Meghan picking up the phone to hire someone? Hello, this is the Duchess of Sussex. Would you like a one-in-a-lifetime opportunity of having the privilege to work for me? You cannot force people into this. You cannot play diva. Now let's imagine that Meghan and Harry managed to assemble that crew. One very common problem with this kind of people in positions such as executive producer is that they tend to micromanage everything. Micromanaging is the act of not letting any breathing room for your crew. Nothing that they do is acceptable. Nothing that they do is on par with your vision, so you're constantly supervising every tiny detail. That just creates a toxic work environment because the micromanager is just sending the message that they don't trust your abilities, when in fact it's their fault for not being able to express their vision correctly and letting the artists, the actors and actresses, and the whole crew do their magic under a general sane supervision. And no, in case you work for a micromanager that just makes your life miserable, there is no way to fix them. There's no way to please them. So it's quite important for any executive producer to be extremely humble and understand that you must look for people that are way smarter than you. Do these two look humble to you in any way? Second, you need to be persuasive, a great communicator, and be able to make people fall in love with your vision. So just showing up and saying that you're the Duchess of Sussex is just not going to cut it. And last but not least, she would have to accept the fact that other people's talent will be responsible for materializing her vision. Now, even in that kind of circumstances, it's possible to create something amazing. It is said that James Cameron is difficult to work with, maybe to the point of micromanaging, and it hasn't prevented him of creating some serious blockbusters. But one thing that James Cameron has is relentless work ethic. Even if he's a difficult person to work with, people want to work with him because his visions are gigantic and he gets the job done every single time, whatever it takes. Do you think the whining ex-royals have the same drive to assemble whatever project they set themselves to? I'm sure you have a very good answer to that. So it would be great if you share it in the comments. Now, Netflix is in the process of assembling this production team to actually get these projects done. So Meghan won't have to pick up the phone and make the calls. But this production team would still be under her close scrutiny and supervision. And that is something none of us would want at all. Not to mention that whatever they create must make all that investment back, so they'd better do something that actually makes waves on the internet. And to be fair, that's something that the Harkles know how to do, just not in the most profitable way. Only time will tell. If you want to refine your observation skills, all you have to do is download my 100 body language tips right in the description of this video. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas and it will always be a pleasure, my body language buddies. Much love and bliss.